Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another series from the DM Revival Cup. In the blue color, we have got our forward player. This is Shelty. Really needs no introduction. Top Supremacy player. Really aggressive in DM. Let's see what he can do here in the Norse Mirror as his opponent, Viz, is playing Odin. Now, Viz has been really shining as of late, especially as Norse when he's playing that. Seems rather capable, really upped his level as of late, and is now definitely one of the top DM players. Pretty curious what he can do against Shelty here. Looks like he's got a sort of SimCity build in the back, making sure that this town center is coming up. By the way, this tournament has a $100 prize pool, bringing the DM mode back on the map into the community. Have to see all these guys playing for sure. Yeah, very wide build overall from Viz. It will be a bit slower on the TC timings, but Shelty himself isn't super rushed to get that going either, so should be all good. All good. The Valkyrie is getting kind of clapped by this hero. The back build is starting to look good. One of Odin's main things here is that you're gonna go Huskar raiding, and it's super difficult to stop considering that they're 5 speed. And with tier, they get a massive 2.2, I believe, 2.25 bonus damage against buildings. That's right. That's a multiplier right there. Really powerful unit, and both could be doing that, but it looks like tier will not be the choice for Shelty. It is in fact going to be Balder, which is going to make it tough to defend. As for Viz, we're about to see it. I think he has chosen tier. There we go. So quick, it's hard to see actually, but we're gonna bring up this production bar right now. We've got hill forts coming in. The back TC is completed around 220. Front TC will take a lot longer, almost up to 3 minutes, I think. For Shelty on this side, I kind of wish that switching the player didn't move the camera around. That would be so great for Retold. Yeah, he's also going to get the TC by 3 minutes, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have both by that time. So I highly doubt that Viz will actually be able to put on damage with these Ulfsarks. But one thing he can get done is get a forest of towers right up here, as well as maybe a bunch of hill forts, and start the ballista push with that. Although once these quad hill forts are done, oh my goodness, that's a lot of hill forts right there. Oh, the TC got sniped by the undermine! What happens here is that you cast the undermine right next to the tower, and because the tower is facing the other direction, the undermine will just continue through the town center in a straight line. In the direction of the tower. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. And although you can't cast this on a normal settlement like this that's under construction, you can cast it on the tower. Huge delay right there. Those Ulfsarks will have to start all over. Really brutal. The corner build is also beginning. One of the most important parts in the Norse Mirror is that you can basically just rely on the Huskar, right? Like I said. And what that means is that you're not gonna need to gather any food, really. Going back to the resource tab, you guys can see that both have got around 8k food left, as a lot of Ulfsarks were made in the early game. But now that we're switching over to throwing axemen and Huskar, most likely, it should mean that all that food is now opened up to start to trade with. Although this fire giant and hill forts are being quite annoying there. But that doesn't mean that Viz couldn't make markets up here. So a triple market will be a very sensible composition for production there. As for the main battle, we've got a bunch of Huskars, but it ended up being way heavier on the throwing axemen. These are scally throwing axemen, so they're not super easy to deal with, just because they're so tightly together and they're protecting themselves with hack damage. So the raiding cav will do massive bonus damage against them, thanks to especially the Sons of Sleipnir upgrade from Balder, which deals double bonus against them. That's in addition to their existing 25%, so 125% bonus damage. But yeah, even the Boxwagger won't be able to truly counter the throwing axes, considering that the numbers are just so high. These guys have free population on the DM patch, which this is played on. Shelty is looking like he's putting on some pretty good aggression. However, getting going with the Rams is not many defenses here for Viz, and his Myth units are also not on the right, on the job there. Looks like the raiding cavalry were high enough in number to push this back for now, especially considering that the hill forts aren't helping out. Now there's a lot more Huskars all of a sudden. But bear in mind, Shelty still has access to Frost, so he can freeze one of these groups, or he can do it on the offense as he gets out the Rams. For the moment, Throwing Axeman will try to defend this, but we've got the Huskars running across the map, and that's looking to be doing a pretty good job here. $14 of them. We'll be hitting the TC, but Shelty's following it around with the champion raiders. They're doing some pretty good damage. Bear in mind the Huskar don't have very good hack armor, only 38%. So will they be able to get the TC before the raiders get them? I don't think they will. Even with the Odin regeneration, the Fire Giant also helping out means a lot here. Will he freeze this maybe? I mean, there's a good amount of dwarves to also freeze. But at the same time, Shelty has been hard at work, and the Frost has to be used, considering that there are now raiding cavalry out. Fimbulwinter is going to be used as well to try to get some heat off of the Huskar, and they are going to in fact get the town center destroyed. With additional Huskars hitting the houses of Shelty, he has to rebuild them now. His population limit is down to just 100. Whereas Viz can just keep going. There's plenty of dwarves here, and they're not really being harassed by any of these wolves, interestingly enough. Shelty getting ready additional Rams as well. The kill to death ratio so far is rather equal, with Viz having killed a lot more food units than Shelty, so it means he has got all this food still available, doesn't need to commit a single villager to gathering food. But this TC seems to be going down in the end, and Shelty is using Frost of his own, freezing all these caribou. What else is there? What is here for... It's just 9 units! Oh no! That's not good. Well, either way, a nice little victory for Shelty on this side. Will it be enough? Remains to be seen. For the moment, he definitely has fewer units. And yeah, hard at work at rebuilding the houses. One of them still missing. Maybe he can get started on cleaning up the back here. Yeah, lots of Wolfsarks coming in now. Seems like a pretty hard commit, and then this is still existing. But he's only got the 1 ram in there. Huskars are coming in to clean up the hill fort. I'm not sure Shelty can really keep a foothold going, as all of this will be destroyed very easily by the Huskars. You have some insane stats as Odin, 195 health. These guys are definitely better than the 4 version, even though those do more damage. And they have better armor and all that, but the health is just a much bigger boon here. Especially considering that they also regenerate. Right, Shelty seems to be rebuilding now in the back. 20 Wolfsarks are on the job. Now slowly getting destroyed here. And once again, another rebuild task for Shelty. He's still down a house. Should be the 140 population. Viz looking to now hit the front TC. The raiding cav at the moment taking the arrow fire, but this is more than enough army to destroy this, especially with the frost giants potentially being the tanks. Very few of the Wolfsarks have gone down, or the Huskars, sorry. They are still going strong. And although Shelty's working on picking them off, the few that are alive are still putting in massive amounts of damage, and the Frost Giants themselves have a little bit of crush damage. So this TC will be falling even though Shelty manages to rebuild the one in the back. And finally fixes his housing situation, but with Viz also claiming back his TC, he will have a third up. The Ozarks get the work done. There's plenty of gold miners, a trade is not truly required, although he has a bunch of caravans that are currently not generating resources, the distance is too short. So if you can increase that, then that's great. Up north would be fantastic, he's making a market right there. And there's plenty of additional Huskars being made as well. Viz is running out of wood, which could be a problem in the long term. But as he gets access to these areas, he can mark it up and go for the long distance trade now. It's at 9 apiece. We never checked our relics. They are the shape of fingernails for a little bit of passive food income and the Pelt of Argus for unit line of sight, so nothing's critical there. Shelty has his TC back. And what's missing is 2 houses, as Viz is destroying them now on the far side of the map. Was a risky place to put them, but really wherever you put them, the Huskars will find it. You could, I suppose, put them in the corner and wall them off, like with several layers. Was you're too annoyed by this repetitive raiding. Then again, Shelty doesn't have walling up, which is a huge issue. He's got a relatively good economy behind this. Obviously, he's not losing units, he's losing buildings. Buildings are cheap, units are not. So, Viz is kind of on the knife's edge in terms of income versus spending. But as long as he can keep the momentum going, he's in a fine position. Shelty only has 40 villagers. 42 now. So that Ragnarok could do a little bit of damage, but would it really hurt Viz too much? I would say not. It's not terribly scary. We're still not needing any food. Everything's going into the caravans. And really the only thing that went into other units is gatherers. That's also a little bit of food spending, but other than that, everything costs gold. Wolves are gonna be made after another batch of Frost Giants. It might be a good time to start, and we've got yet another Huskar squad hitting the TC. There's no reaction from Shelty whatsoever. He doesn't have throwing axemen, he doesn't have Wolfsarks. Oh, he does have Wolfsarks nearby. And bear in mind, they have some pretty high hack damage, so could do quite a lot to these Huskars with only 38% resistance. But he's instead going to rely on the Raiders, which actually have less damage output against this opponent, but thanks to their speed, they can keep up. 6.6 speed versus 5 is rather doable here. But will Shelty ever be able to recover and, you know, gain some map control, get out that kind of army that he needs to push back with, like a Ragnarok? And oh god, it's a naked Ragnarok. I was gonna say add some rams to it, but it seems too little too late now. Shelty has a 228 population count, and what Viz can do from here is really just react to this with a bunch of defensive buildings and he should be good to go. He can convert a handful of dwarfs into Wolfsarks like this, build up a little, so that's looking pretty good. Should probably stop making caravans. And Shelty is going to call it. There's no way he could have pushed this back. Viz just had the better strategy overall right now. It's super hard to put a stop to those Huskar. You constantly have to be on top of them and kill them before they destroy your TCs, otherwise this kind of momentum lead will snowball. Alright, here we go with game 2. Shelty this time around is going to be playing as Zeus, one of his main gods in DM. On the other side we've got Viz playing as Loki in this one. Now Loki can be quite good against Zeus, but also quite bad. It really depends on how that early game goes. If you can slow down the Zeus, you can definitely get your tower spam up, get Fire Giant Ballista out, and get a whole lot done there. But it remains to be seen whether that can be the case or not. Shelty's Zeus style is always very heavy on aggression. He basically goes all in and tries to make happen whatever he can with as little economy as possible. He just goes all in. At the end, almost all of his population will be army. As for Viz, we don't often see him playing as Loki, so this is going to be interesting to see what kind of path he decides to take. He's got the proxy temple already on the way, and yeah, these Loki temples are scary because they can suddenly go hell. You can delete the original temple on the DM patch. Advancing through hell will give you one of each giant. That's 3 giants total. And then you make the additional 4 mountain giants on top of that. So you'll have 5 mountain giants, a frost giant, and a fire giant in the enemy base ready to go. If Shelty isn't ready, he's in serious trouble. He usually likes to go Hera, which is going to be the case now as well. He's going to have the Medusa ready to go. I assume he's going to make Bellarfin shortly, either from the Fortress or the TC. And additional Medusa is also something we should expect. The front build is getting rushed down. This is kind of standard because it's a difficult thing for Norse to secure the front TC. What usually happens is that Norse players secure the back TC and then try to build a bunch of towers here. That's doable, but getting both of them at the same time, I don't think so. And these are not basic Minotaurs and Manticores, these are Hera ones, and the Manticores are significantly buffed in DM as well anyway. Hera makes that even wilder. Yeah, they'll be taking quite a chunk of hit points off of this town center. And oh my goodness, there go the mountain giants. That's a lot of them. My goodness, 7 mountain giants. How did he do that? Bellarfin is on the case, however. Now, can the villagers put down some buildings or something to block their path? Slow them down a bit more? Shelty is already on the main TC of Viz and has destroyed it with his infantry. As these Zeus hoplites and Hippospis deal double damage against buildings. Something to keep in mind. Medusa will be able to slowly turn these mountain giants to stone. Gotta micro it so that it doesn't do it to the weakest one. Also doing some pretty good damage as of the bows as well do some pretty good damage. Finally managed to blurt that out. Shelty trying to get the front TC at the same time. I wonder if he's gonna use restoration on this. On the defense, he totally could. There's 2 Medusa still ready to go. Catches one of the high HP ones. Nobody's repairing the TC. And restoration is too late if it was going to be considered. Viz attempting to steal the town center, and the mass throwing axemen, as always, will be slapping the Greek infantry pretty easily here. It's very difficult to get a good engagement. Range units in Age of Mythology, very tough to engage. You need some serious counter blob for that. Hippospis would just path against each other, block each other's way, and get shot to pieces, so not really the best kind of counter. You need a lot of Toxotes, and Colossus would be great, but we've gone for Hera, so we got Medusa here, which is still nice against all of the giants that we'll pop out. Now TC is going to be focused up rather quickly. Shelty has Underworld Passage ready to go, but I don't think he'll take the direct fight. He's going to look with the scout for another opportunity, I suppose. And for now, just retreat and force Viz forward, or bait him forward, so to say. First, he's going to attempt to go after all of these Medusa, but the Toxotes are kind of picking them off. Good job there by Shelty. There's a relic here. Can fire for Polo for some villager movement speed. Definitely worth thinking about. And the infantry is now here to help with this situation as well. Viz seems to still be rallying onto that TC, but it won't be happening. There's too many Medusa here to get any Myth units over there. Good pickoffs as well here, spotting the hill forts and neutralizing them completely. But Viz will be on 3 town centers versus 1, it would seem. Walking Woods. I didn't notice that pick. I did not notice that pick from Viz. Now bear in mind, these low-key raiding cav are probably one of the worst units there is. Definitely much weaker than Freya versions or Baldur versions. He doesn't get any of those techs, but the Walking Woods will be making it to the TC and getting a full reset. So that's interesting, and that's also how there were so many mountain giants in the early game. Got an extra one out like that. The trees are angry. Shelty can't have a town center, but the Medusa are also, well, the trees are now stoned. Good defense overall. And although in the DM patch you can spawn 12 trees, I don't think that was 12. 3 depends on how lucky you are with the positioning of the power. Once again, good kill to death ratio here by Viz. He's doing a fine job with the throwing Axeman spam. He's almost caught up. But he's about to eat the lightning storm, and yep, that will very quickly turn things around. Suddenly 30 kills go through just about for Shelty. That was rather devastating. A lightning storm has finished itself. Nidhogg's ready to go. Bolt is not available, so that Nidhogg will actually be able to do quite a bit of work. I really like the Mass Tower Ballista Fire Giant thing that we spoke about earlier. Restoration is going to be used to try to break this, but these towers... Oh, actually they are just normal towers. They're not Heimdall ones. So they're going to have limited power in terms of stopping the infantry, who can just pretty much plow through this low health tower. Giant doing what it can, but it really doesn't have the armor to withstand the Medusa shots, who also have bonus damage against Mythians 200%. It's pretty strong, also buffed on the DM patch, by the way. And there's the Nidhogg. But guess what? Odysseus and the Medusa should be able to deal with this just fine. Nidhogg's also buffed in DM. 3000 health on this thing. 60 hack, 60 crush attack. So those Medusa are definitely hurting, getting shot by this thing. But bear in mind that Nidhogg itself doesn't have bonus damage against Myth units, so all this focus firing is actually already getting it down to rather low health levels. And meanwhile, the infantry plus Helipolis is able to push through. Odysseus is finally toast. The Norse army has taken great losses. We're up to 147 kills versus 112. And Shelty can keep this train going. He's currently got 27 villagers, so he's not as all in as he sometimes is. The back TC is still not done, but I'm sure it's about to be. Let's get some health levels on this. Unfortunately, the camera will jump around in the replay mode for whatever reason. That's important. I will never understand, but 1500 health on this thing. He's still pushing. Imagine what he will do when he has 160 pop and Underworld's over to the other side of the map, like back here, catching the dwarves. That will be brutal, cutting the trade. That's the exact kind of moves that Shelty needs right now. Lothran will be back out momentarily. Mostly against throwing Axemen. That seems like a really good mix now that Shelty has. I would say back off though, and you know, wait for that TC to... Oh! Oh, the Nidhogg loops around and finds it. But the towers and Odysseus will make short work of him. And there's the Underworld as well, really well placed. Would have liked it a little closer to the gold mine, as now Viz had time to react, to pull away. But it sort of will get the job done anyhow, forcing all of this back. That is 26 Ulfsarks. Not quite the right unit to make here, especially since they're not Bragi Ulfsarks, so they're really not going to be efficient against these Athena Hippospists, who aren't going to take all that much damage from the towers or TC. The towers are already gone though. I gotta be careful with these Toxotes shooting the TC. They're kind of wasting their DPS. Not actually super sure that Shelty will get that town center kill. Looking a little dicey, especially with his units having to walk around the forests and buildings to get to the Underworld. Lothran heading back as he finds some mountain giants to kill. That's a good move actually by Viz, trying to destroy this thing. If he can contain everything and control the Underworld location, The throwing axeman should eventually be able to get rid of the hoplites and Hippospis, so this is looking pretty good at TC targeting the Medusa also, getting rid of her as an anchor. But the Toxotes are focus firing down the throwing axeman very nicely, along with the Hippospis, so yeah, Shelty gets a little bit of value out of this kill death fight. That's a lot of corpses. 251 kills to 211. This is kind of broke in terms of food, needs some kind of hunting operations. But for the moment he can just make throwing axeman and ballista. Bear in mind the dragon's still going, but now that Shelty's established, he's got 45 villagers. And that's about to be a whole lot more. And the Loki raiding cav, not the most ideal unit. I would have liked to see some Jarl from our Loki player, considering that we went for Njord, right? So that gives a whole lot of health to those guys. Whereas the raiding cav get absolutely nothing from Loki here, except some improved training times. Looks like the Greek army will be able to plow through what's left. Nidhogg is toast, flying into the Odysseus there. Now the hoplites should be able to just attack this TC, while the Toxotes can take down the throwing axes. With the Bellerophon's help should be absolutely no problem. So these guys are heading back home, not sure for what. I assume to deal with the raiding cav. Might be a slight mistake, as I'm sure Shelty had the numbers here to just plow through everything. The raiding cav weren't really doing much of anything right this second. Shelty trying to get a tempo going for, I assume, additional Medusa production. Viz's trade has continued this whole time, so he's got gold, but he doesn't have any of the other resources, and this raid on the wood is actually a huge issue as he's currently under-popped, and Shelty is right here ready to kill this last remaining location of Viz's. This is where his economy is centered, right? He's got all the wood villagers in there, 10 of them. He's got the hunt here, the trade route is behind the TC. This is what everything will come down to. Viz might be able to get out a handful of fire giants as he's got the favor, he's got the gold. That is probably the play right this second. Can reinforce that with the raiding cav and the gold mining can commence, then everything should be fine for the most part. Bellerophon getting targeted down by the TC, also very nice micro there. The 3 fire giants should be able to deal with the infantry for the most part. Shelty still extremely rich, however, relying on quad Toxotes production here. Definitely overproducing from all these military academies and archery ranges. Maybe that is what drives his all-in style. I'm not sure how intentional it is that he's doing it that way, but it certainly works. As we can see right now with Viz struggling so much to hold himself. That's a great raid as well. Several dwarves have already died. The reaction is quite late. And bear in mind, those Loki ox cards are not particularly great. They're weak, they're cheap, they're fast. But that makes them very killable. Medusa coming forward to be the counter to fire giants. That should be just fine. Although we still haven't seen any trade from Shelty, which is rather interesting to see. Very straight up fight. Getting a good amount of kills with those Toxotes, but the Medusa isn't getting it done. Bellerophon's back. TCs are now used to produce heroes, as Shelty feels he's got enough stuff overall. The villagers have eaten up the gold mine, so you'll need to push out. Probably just here. A few extra farms wouldn't be too bad. Barrack still hasn't been picked up. And you know what? Viz might actually be able to hold this. He's grown his economy substantially since we last checked. He's now got 21 caravans. That is starting to be the sweet spot for Norse. A few more villagers and he's very positively in the sweet spot. But if these Toxotes get to push onto the throwing axemen and Bellerophon can distract the fire giants, along with Jason here. That's a huge issue for Viz to deal with. He's even getting chased by the Hippos Fists. Not the easiest thing to deal with either. Looks like he's down to 145 population. I'm not even sure where the units are being trained. They're on the far side of the map. The throwing action won't be able to do game-ending damage here. There's nothing to wall off in terms of the trade. There's only a handful of villagers. They certainly can't destroy a town center, unlike Shelty. He's got the Helipos on the case, and Viz is going to resign this one, putting our score to 1-1 in this best of 5 series. So the map 3 is going to be Olympus. Very aggressive setup here. Shelty's gonna be going for Poseidon, which is ending up to be a pretty good pick actually against Isis, played by Viz here. In the red color, we've got the Mercenary Rush, of course. Will slow down all of this significantly. If Shelty builds too forward, the Mercenaries will certainly catch him. He's got to pull these villagers back in, otherwise they're dead. Oh, he still has a chance to fix it. Stable hasn't started, so that's looking pretty good then. Now, if Viz reacts quickly, he can knock down the weak stable. Potentially will still spawn militia from it, however. Oh, the mercs are starting to die. You need a 40-second advance to prevent that, really, or a 42 seconds, considering that these guys take 2 seconds to train. And overall, the mercenary block is looking pretty good. Shelty has a good number of all buildings, but cavalry being a tough one for for Isis to deal with. I'm actually not sure he'll go Osiris. He definitely went half and bust. Will we get Osiris for H3? I actually have my doubts. We're about to find out. As for Shelty, he's gone for Aphrodite, and there's a thought. So lots of play against the Phoenix, I suppose. And we're supposed to also see some elephants for the early game. The unit of choice will be Spearmen and Axemen mixed. And there's the elephant production as well. The Phoenix should be able to go after villagers, which Shelty is sending all grouped up to the front TC, trying to build some towers. That's some really juicy targets right there for Viz. Hephaestus is going to bring the Colossus to the table, adding some really tough to kill units. Will it be possible for Viz to deploy an elephant drop? It looks like he can't even get the TC up, as the Hippicons get on the task right away. Typically speaking, Isis players would just take the back TC because it's further away and safer. You would actually have the chance to finish it before the Greek player gets to attack. But the towers are up as Aphrodite. You've got these villagers with the Divine Blood upgrade, buildings faster, moving faster. So that all helps out in getting the towers going. The towers will have massive bonus damage against flying units, and keeping all the heroes here, including Circe, which is the replacement for Polyphemus in the DM patch. Very important one, because Polyphemus can't really deal with mass myth units if they're protected by towers. Especially can't deal with Phoenix. That's another story entirely, but even if it was mummies, you just put them between chariots and towers and Polyphemus will never reach them, realistically. Extremely delayed mercenaries show up. The Phoenix, I guess, are going to get the buff from Eclipse, putting their DPS up to some seriously high levels. But Circe's still dealing some pretty good damage against them. Got some stray Hippicons in the back, but anyway, Viz manages to build up this front TC and might be sneaking Shelty's third himself. The towers are all built almost. Of course, the Petsukas being annoying now. Managed to pick off some villagers, and Shelty will have to watch out for Locust Swarm as well. More elephants getting made. Forcing out Prodromos, which are not all that highly upgraded without Dionysus, but at least they have the Hermes upgrade for more damage, which is pretty important here. You have to play this very much straight up. Ooh, the phoenixes are kind of getting wasted here. Flying over the heroes, not spawning eggs because they're stuffed beneath. Now Shelty's trying to focus up his town center. He's gonna build pretty quickly. Not much time for Viz to react to this, but he might be able to get a good locust in. Kills 2 of the villagers so far, almost free. But the Prodromos are doing a fantastic job of keeping the elephants at bay as well. We've got 80 kills, 81 to 77. And so far, resource-wise, Shelty is significantly ahead. If he can keep this going, that would be fantastic news for him. But it looks to me like Viz's unit composition is starting to figure itself out. He's got a bunch of chariots now. He's got plenty of spearmen for the Prodromos. That is a pretty one-sided fight right there. Is Viz getting ready for a meteor already? No way. No, but these villagers are super weak. You can snipe them easily enough with chariots or even sending a bunch of Kopesh. Those are all pretty good answers to the situation. Don't have a lot of villagers right now for Viz still, but he's committing a lot of them to building on the far side of the map and getting these Prodromos tied up, so that's all looking good. Elephants slapping down the temple, but nobody's praying, so the temple isn't actually doing anything right now. Shelty's going to use ceasefire, but that leaves him exposed to meteor. Should it be the case that Viz chooses to use it, which he might do here. There's a lot of towers to destroy, and if he can open this area up, he can keep this TC down. He doesn't necessarily need to take this spot, although he's trying to make siege works happen right here. I don't know yet how to feel about it. Not sure if he wants to meteor the houses of Shelty's. They would generate a lot of militia, so he's not gonna do that. And this is a full reset now. All the towers should be falling to meteor as well. Bear in mind, Viz has a lot of wood left, and he could sell that for a good amount of overall resources. But this meteor wasn't exactly impressive, right? There's a lot of towers left. It's now all up to the army. Shelty's got the back TC, but Viz is on 3 town centers, and with ISIS that means that you're at 169 population versus just 140 in this case. Catapult coming up, and if there's a bunch of towers as well, that catapult will be rather well protected. The chariots are a good counter to the Prodromos as they don't have a lot of pierce armor, although they will be dodging shots. But in these direct fights, they will shred them. Still got to retreat a little bit. And all these militia spawning will be a good counter to the catapults themselves. Share's kind of getting donated here. But I think our guy Viz has got enough villagers now. Yeah, for prosperity, that's what I was gonna say. Got 2 gold mines full of them. And one of them is being empowered, so that's pretty good stuff. Well, that income will be put to good use, I'm sure. It was essentially drying up in the bank, so this was very necessary. Starting a trade now would be a good thing. And also, he can get going with his farms, as I so far don't see any. There's also plenty of hunt, should he not wish to do that. There's plenty of these boars on Olympus, so you can always just rely on that as your source of food, making the farms essentially free for a while. You don't have to make them. Shelty's not really rushing to get the front TC. I think he suspects he can't really make them right now. Mass Auxiliary is certainly annoying for the chariots to deal with, although they don't have any special upgrades. There's no Ares, there's no Artemis here for our Poseidon player. So there's your standard Greek Auxiliaries. The chariots are less population efficient, but they have the extra range on them. But that takes a lot of micro to utilize. Yeah, going back into the tower range here is definitely the move. Still be hearing a lot of chariots dying and not a lot else. Maybe now it's starting to turn around a bit, but I think the kill to death ratio is going to be pretty good for Shelty there. 242 to 196. Our ISIS player is going to run dry at this rate, especially once Helipolis get added to the fight. The whole idea behind this strategy would be to slow down the Poseidon in the beginning and to get some kind of elephant drop with the rock on the main base and destroy that town center. Now the rock is ready to go with a bunch of catapults, and Viz is going to show us what he can do with that. Hellcaster getting added, which are substantially buffed in the DM patch. Additional range, additional damage, while keeping the... Oh, actually the Supremacy patches have also gotten them to 20 range, I'm pretty sure. But anyhow, that's a lot of dead chariots, and these guys have more damage than normal, so actually a threatening unit and super cheap. 80 resources only. Now the rock's here, ready to go. Will we get to see those catapults? Hippolyta is ready to defend. We've got plenty of Prodromos as well to get on the case of the catapults. So this probably is gonna have to leave this. Oh wow, it's just gonna take 3 shots to take down the rock with Hippolyta. She's so strong. The Spearmen will do decently against the Peltast, but at high numbers they can beat them. Spears don't have exactly very high pierce armor. Not that these guys have super high damage, but it's comparable enough to Toxotes these days. So you don't sacrifice all that much, considering that you can absolutely destroy chariots with them. And gain a little range as well, so... Probably not the best tool against elephants though, I must say. Alright, the catapults have attempted the thing, but... Shelty does take down the rock. Got through quite a few shots, actually. While we were focusing on the main fight. But the presence of the Helipolis will now shut down these Migdols. And I'm not really sure what play Viz has got lined up. Once Shelty is on 3 town centers, he's still got a fantastic economy, so I think he just keeps going. Time for a bunch of farms, maybe a little bit of hunting for our Greek player though. Here come the elephants again, and Vitsukos is the word. They do some pretty good pierce damage, so that's going to be a good answer to the Prodromos. Unlike the chariots, these guys will hit them 100% of the time. But now, Shelty is up to 3 TCs. His kill to death ratio has closed in a little bit now that the Beltas have started dying, but that's okay. They're super cheap. In terms of resources, Shelty has killed way more than what he's lost. Look at Viz only killing 5,000 wood worth of units, whereas Shelty has done nearly 15k in that department. So gold is pretty close, food is relatively close as well, with Shelty having a good number of villagers to recuperate. Bear in mind the Egyptian villagers do their work a little slower. Need the empowerment to make up for it. You can also empower the trade once it's a little bigger. It's definitely worth it, but yeah, need the siege towers to deal with the Helipolis. Need some spears, I suppose, in this case, because the camels aren't Osiris buffed up. To deal with the cavalry, and the pistachios will be able to deal with all the other human units, but then we've got Circe. And she's got a number on them, that's for sure. Although the pistachios at least have range. So Circe is taking damage. She's quite fragile. She looks intimidating, but she is fragile. Even these myth units are doing decent damage against her. Doesn't look like Viz has any units left, so what now? I don't see any units. With the pistachios getting picked off, he's in a lot of trouble. The spears are now trying to come out, but we're not seeing any chariots or camels or anything like that. Looks like the pistachios going down should be the end of the game though, as there are now triple Helipolis backed up by Toxotes. That is rather intimidating. Shelty can keep doing this all day. He's got 60 villagers now. A bunch of them are idle, but no biggie. I'm sure he'll fix it soon enough. There it is. And yeah, this TC is going down, man. There's no stopping it. Even Mercs won't be able to do more than killing this weak helpful is the other two will stay up just fine. There's plenty of protection here. And this has got nothing. He's got spearmen. They're gonna melt. They're gonna melt to this. In fact, Shelty even finds some mining villagers here. Gets on that case. TC is about to go down. There it goes. There's something in this siege works, which I have no idea what that is. The camera would stop jumping, that would be great. We've got one catapult in there. It's not enough. It's not enough. The Tuxodis are killing villagers left and right, and the score is gonna be going up 2-1 for Shelty. One match left. Shelty might be able to get it done with just one more win. That is match point right there, but maybe Viz can win 2 in a row. That's all the games that could possibly happen. Let's see if he can do it. Here we go with game number 4. Shelty is switching around this time. He's playing as Hades. Not a god we really see him play very often, but then again, we don't really see Shelty play many best of 5s out. He's done this against Yoshi. Curious to see what direction he takes it in. On the other side, we have got Viz playing S4. That is really his main god, so I like from him that he's kept it for later in the series, but perhaps the previous game would have been a better option there, as losing the map of your own picking is not the best move. 4 certainly very good on Frozen Wastes though. The DM version of Frozen Wastes is a square, as you guys can see, surrounded by ice. This gives you a little bit more room to make a market in the very corner and get a little bit more out of it than as if it was a circle. It's still very difficult to wall though. In fact, there's more area to wall because of that, so good luck walling. Hades' goal in this matchup is really to just flood a lot early on. Defend against this Valkyrie ideally, but the heroes are out of position, so Shelty is really hurting there. Going to have to get it done with hoplites, which is doable, but if Viz is really on point with micro, he will be able to pick off up to 3-4 villagers, maybe even all of them. That's a huge issue. I believe Apollo was the 3rd god picked here for Shelty. Yes, it is. He's got Oracle. Some good line of sight later. He'll have access to Underworld as well. And this is some good pressure. He'll have Pestilence ready to go on this mass of long houses. But losing all these villagers is definitely a pain point. 4 villagers have already been killed by Viz. But now the flood begins. Hip is pissed. They train fast. Tuxodis, they kill stuff. So he's got the super Tuxodis off. Oh wait, this is Athena. This is not Ares. He's not gonna have Pestilence. He's gonna have Restoration. So these are not the best Tuxodis you could possibly get, but they're pretty damn close. At 13 DPS with Shafts of Plague and Sunray, that's all rather significant. Now, the fortress is done. And Shelty will be focusing on trying to secure this. He's getting some chimeras made as well, which technically should be getting counted by the Frost Giants, but if you can get some good raiding off with them, the gold mines are certainly not safe. And they're very nice in these early game situations where the units are all lined up, so you just fire your stream down into the middle, not like this, where you only hit a few units with the outside AoE of it, but you will line up your fire to target somewhere into the middle of the line, and then a lot of units will get hit. Either way, with Restoration's help, he'll be able to fully reset this town center, only losing a handful of units. That's totally worth it, giving him a little bit of peace of mind. But then this is happening, which is absolute bonkers. If Viz can secure this without Shelty's interference, he can definitely make a big play happen with a ram raid following up this. The Eye of Lewis here, giving some more damage to throwing axemen, which considering he's already got them buffed with just being 4, right? You get Hammer of the Gods, a really nice little upgrade right there. And we've got Hunter's Axe, which gives them even more than that. So these throwing axemen are significantly better than normal ones already. Give them the relic too. Ay ay ay, that's bonkers. That is bonkers. Anywho, Shelty has a bunch of villagers here. Many towers. This is very susceptible to raiding. You send in one ram around the edge of the map, this TC will get reset. And now, it is again Viz looking for this TC to be snuck up. I don't think we have any Gastrophiles on the field from our Hades player. Not yet at least, but this TC gets reset again, which is a huge play from Shelty. Very well done. The Chimera Tyrant also being an absolute pain. Perseus has turned at least one Frost Giant into a block of stone already. But this Chimera is getting frozen. Perseus coming in though. Will probably get rid of this Frost Giant now. Really good job with that, seriously. Clean play. Towers are being destroyed in the DM patch. Hammer of the Gods also affects towers, by the way. Very nice little boon. So, good time to be 4 these days. It's a very popular god as well. It's really played a lot. Generally Norse is. I like it a lot against Greek anyway. Well, you could argue it's good against anything. Loki can be a tough matchup. Hades can be a tough matchup, but certainly not unwinnable. Nothing is. And gold mines shouldn't be a problem as you've got Dwarven Mine. That's a 6,000 gold mine right there. The Rams are getting in here. Really would like Viz to stop this though. Oh, he freezes the villagers and the army. That is huge. Now he can take his time destroying the towers and he'll still get the town center reset. That is huge. Ginormous, as they say. There's a handful of extra units spawn. The Rams might get taken down. Time to get on the case with the TC. There we go. Oh, there's more. There's more where that came from. Hitting from 2 locations. Not much backup for these units, but it's something, it's something. And having gone Baldur, of course, the Raiders have the Sons of Sleipnir upgrade. That will wreck the Toxotes. And they have a bonus damage against Helipolis as well. And a bunch of villagers will be troublesome here. The Shades also coming in with their not too bad little DPS, although the villagers actually do more to Rams, which is hilarious. Anyway, the TC in the main, I don't think it's safe. Viz has done a really good job finding this. And really the only thing that Shelty can rely on from here on is his Earthquake. Oh my god! How many Rams does this man have? His army is mostly Rams right now. Gone up to at least 15 plus Rams, and he can afford it. That's the crazy part. The Earthquake is hitting the main. That will destroy the houses, but also there's so many buildings here to soak damage. The armory, the temple, the houses. They can take it. That's the thing. It's not a problem at all. The towers are being remade here, which is a huge issue for the Raiders. The Crenulations tower is doing a lot of extra damage, although the DM patch reduces that. It's normally double damage, but in DM it's only 50% bonus damage. So cavalry is a lot more usable in DM than it is in late game Supremacy, and I guess that's a very important thing because we need the variety in unit compositions. It can't just be archers and infantry, right? It would be boring. So this livens up the game a lot. Makes for more raiding. I kind of wish it was the case in Supremacy, because late game can get rather stale like that. With an entire class of units losing their role anyway. It should be an easy case of just rebuilding the houses, and it looks like Viz is already done with it. I'm not sure where he's placed them. Oh, just here. There. Force fire is getting used to create a little opening here. Let's ram the caribou. Show it who's boss. Shelty's not really building right now, so I think he might be actually giving up and just processing the end of the match, as there's almost no way to come back here. Viz is going up to 4 town centers. There's nothing going out there to stop it. And the Rams once again find out where the villagers are. There's only one guy building it in the main. The underworld passage is going to be used as a last-ditch effort to go on the offense. There's one Gastrophiles here, and I think I've seen a Helipolis. So that's going to be pretty much all that Shelty has to offer right now in terms of attacking power. But this army will basically take care of this. There's no issue with that. 21 Wolfsarks might be a little bit too high as a number, though. It's not exactly what needed to happen. Villager gets away with 3 hit points. You are too chunky to chase after them. But there's the throwing axes, so they'll be able to get it. Anyway, Ozark's now going on the underworld passage. There's no one here to repair. There's no second restoration, thankfully. Although I hear Retold might change that. I'm gonna be traumatized by that game, I swear. It's got to be done really gracefully, that's for sure. Might need to make a whole video on that. Anyway, more gets 3Ds out for Shelty, but not much progress in terms of getting the TCs built. If any Rams can get in on this, this is another reset. That's what it looks like to me. Only one Ram exists momentarily. So, obviously, Viz is going to take some time rebuilding this. Good job by Shelty to distract and slow down things. If he can get his TC back up, in fact, both TCs back up, he's gonna be in a rather good position. Hades generates a little bit of gold passively, bear in mind, so... Artemis is not as much of an all-in as one might think, and he's doing a good job of intercepting these ramps as well with these full body surrounds. Well, almost a full body surround, right? It didn't quite work out, but anyway. TC's almost up, holy moly! Oh, he gets in the hit in the last possible second. That is bonkers. He just wasted a minute of Shelty's time. Oh my god, it's almost a full reset. This Ram is bonkers. It's been also buffed by the DM patch, so that's part of what makes 4 so good. As a countermeasure, however, the box Viger were nerfed, so they're free pop now. They got a little bit more damage as an exchange, but that's about it. That is about it. We're in the main as well with Rams. This is doing a fantastic job. He's got a huge economy, so eventually he'll be able to follow this up with a Ragnarok too. So, you know, Shelty's economy is purely relying on Vaults of Erebus, which is not much. It's just a little bit of a trickle, as you can see. His gold going up very slowly. But as soon as he needs to make units, that will drop down. And Raiden Cav get in on this again, and there's the Ram. There's 2 Rams, which is better than 1. Shelty will not be able to handle both. Yeah, the pathing completely messes up on his villagers, and meanwhile the second Ram gets in and fully resets the town center. This is savage and very devastating for Shelty. I think he will have to tap out of this one as Viz finishes up his TC again. That'll be the 4th TC for him. While he's destroying these Hades houses, they're strong, but so is the Ram. House did make it. House did make it for the moment, but meanwhile Shelty's lost 1,000 food again. Viz can keep doing this all day. Once these guys are freed up, he's gonna have a bigger army ready to go, as well as these Wolfsarks. And there he goes. Oh, he's getting another Ram in on the action. It's constant resetting. Shelty must be so frustrated right now. And there comes Ragnarok. I'm sure the Ragnarok heroes can either just gut the main and take the TC over. There's barely any towers left. Just the one in the back, so there's no defender's advantage essentially outside of like... Here's the building, so you've got production nearby, but Shelty will not be able to make enough units to actually hold this area. Pretty sure we're just gonna see the CC coming up. Looks like Viz is ready to just fight. Breaking through the military barracks. And it should be no problem for this Ram to get yet another reset. Going for the tower. Why not? Why not? The houses are next. Yeah, you know, Shelty is panicking. He has to remake the houses. He has to make towers. He can't lose the villagers. As if he does. That's the game's ending right there. All that Viz would need to do from there is just destroy houses. But I think he can go for the town center victory condition at this rate. Claim all TCs, you win in 2 minutes. So there's no point hiding villagers in the corner, as as the victory will just be forced anyway. There's no wonders in DM. Well, you can make them, but they don't have an effect. Maybe we'll change that in the mod as well, so that you can spawn some super bonkers units. Not like Titans or anything, because they're problematic. Titans are problematic. At least through the Titan Gate mechanic. In DM, you're granted the god powers at a certain time, a few minutes into the game, and if you happen to be a god that has a destructive god power, they counter Titans, so it's not a really balanced strategic option in DM. And so, DM patch doesn't have Titans. But Wonders could be an interesting little late game change up, so maybe they give you some cool effects, maybe you can get some original campaign units. This is a point of discussion recently in the DM community. Curious to see where it will go. We'll definitely do some experiments, maybe a few show matches with it. Anyways, this Fire Giant Ballista Ragnarok push is looking strong. How many caravans? 20 caravans should keep Viz alive, but he certainly can't fill his population gap. That's too much to ask for right now. So destroy these Gastrophiles with the Champion Raiders, absolutely no problem. It wouldn't have been a problem anyway, but with Sons of Sleipnir, that's some devastating damage he just did. Well, I'm gonna have to retrain the villagers, that will take a while. Trade actually is not full length, so they're only taking back 32 gold. I thought that was better, but yeah, you gotta trade with this middle TC. Otherwise, it's just not as valuable. The Ballista will be able to keep his town center down forever, though. Especially with the Mass Fire Giant and Ballista. The Greek army can't really take this. Once Viz gets out a few more, yeah, 4 Fire Giants, that's it. This army would get deleted if they get special attacked. And Shelty knows that, so he's going to tap out of this one. Viz equalizes the series, and there's only one game left. The winner moves on into the losers semi-finals, guaranteeing a spot in the top 4 and thus a prize winning. And also it's re-equating there, by the way. Alright, game 5. Everything will be decided with this one. Shelty is going to be playing as Oranos in the blue color, something he doesn't do very often, but he seems to pretty confidently keep doing it when it comes down to it. It's a really interesting pick from him. Viz on the other side is playing as Hades. In theory, this should be a hard counter. Once Hades really gets going, it's just difficult to touch him with any Atlantean. Oranos especially doesn't seem to have a huge boon that would help there, especially if you rely so much on your military barracks and counter barracks. It's usually a much more palace focused composition that Atlantean players will get. As for Viz, he's just securing his back TC as best he can. The heroes aren't on location, so the Prometheans and the Oracle will get through. But it does look like this Greek Scout is causing a lot of trouble for the citizen. Now bear in mind, the Greek Scout in the DM patch actually gets his upgrades from the armory, including weapons. He has a higher starting attack, and he gets the cavalry line upgrades, so he's actually pretty potent. We're gonna actually see Aphrodite from our Hades player, which is not that common, but it's really good in this specific strategy. And having gone Ares as well means that you got a super strong start with Pestilence, which can cover this entire field of buildings, by the way, completely preventing unit training. And then you follow that up with Gastrophiles. Oh, Hephaestus for the Mythic Age, I don't know about that. That might be a little slow. I like Artemis because you can just down the town center while hitting stuff with Gastrophiles. And you just tower up your front TC at the same time. It's rather difficult to deal with. If the Atlantean player vortexes, you just also go and base trade them. So it's gonna be all about this use of the Nemenian Lion, in my opinion, which in the DM patch actually stuns enemy units, including flyers, which is a very powerful little boon to have. Is Viz actually gonna make more of them? No, he's not making any of those. It might just be that he's interested in Colossus, but so far we can't really see what he's planning. Pestilence is coming through. He hits the palaces as well as a lot of the military buildings, but plenty of them remain active, like 5 of them. 6 actually, so that's pretty good. Colossus manages to slow down this town center. Would really like to see a small wall here from Shelty. The Atlantean walls are busted strong. They got all those extra upgrades that the other civs just don't have. It's a very nice little bonus. Perseus is out, who will help a ton against Heka Giants. Should be a problem for the Greek army. It looks like Shelty was able to make an army back, but he was tied up by the Colossi, and in the back the cavalry is also causing problems, so he's answering that with his own Myrmidon and Contarius. There's a Cyclops that still made it somehow. Ay. Like this, trying to move up. The fortress, however, I'm not sure it will happen because the Myrmidon and Arcus mix here is going to demolish these villagers. Already 3 of them have gone down, make that 4. And maybe you can make that 5. Okay, with these extra Arcus arriving, that's a huge issue. Could shockwave these villagers even for maximum effect. Together with the Hippicons, shockwave is significantly buffed in DM because it's just not made for this game mode. And Supremacy picking off a early unit or 2 is catastrophic. In DM, less so. You need a bigger impact. Considering that everything's all souped up with upgrades. You could argue Mythians can do more than the basic shockwave. Anyways, we've got tons of Toxotes being made, no Gastrophiles as I suggested, so it remains to be seen when that will happen, but so far the kill to death is pretty even, so it's not like this is a bad thing. I'm worried about Viz for the vortexes, but I guess good news for Shelty, right? He's also protecting himself with the Spiritus Tree, but it actually won't do anything, so all you gotta do is place it in a safe spot and get these Dryads going, which will act as a fantastic little meat shield. 300 health, slightly buffed in the M, and we'll be able to take a lot of that pierce damage that the Toxotes lay on. So you get those girls up front, the trees will show their power again. Walking Woods got nothing on this. These ladies don't cost any population. Shelty gets some Sky Passage action. That would be sick to see. He's got a lot of military barracks in the back getting made, I assume in order to protect himself against Earthquake, but Hephaestus was the pick. So that's never coming. Good defensive fight again by Viz. Should pull back a little bit more so that the towers get to work. Looks like Perseus has been damaged a little bit. Now getting focused by the Arcus. Won't be able to last much longer, so actually this Heka is kind of helpful for its survival. We'll be able to almost petrify this one. Didn't quite make it. We've got the Vortex into the main. Looking like a pretty good attack overall. The villagers are gonna get shockwaved away by the Heka Giants, and I'm sure the 2 Fire Siphons and Hekas are more than sufficient to take this TC down. Zom. That's a good thing about replays, because you can watch from the player's perspective, and then they make the Zom sound. I love it. You gotta love it. Well, the Vortex army is still going to be absolutely destroyed, having done little more economic damage than what the loss of the army will cause. Shelty is still doing pretty good on resources, however, but then there's this happening. A dock in the back could be quite threatening as well, although it won't reach anything really except the towers. So those siege ships are quite pointless. Sending up just a few villagers to rebuild the TC will be a good measure here to counter everything, because these are Aphrodite villagers. They move fast, they build fast. This won't take them a minute. Shelty will have to get to work and slow down the TC so that he can get another vortex through. Can he get it done? Would have loved to see the Contarius hero rushing in and slowing down the TC a little bit, but it looks like the Fire Siphons get it done just fine. That's a full reset right there. They probably won't get out, but that's a price that Shelty's willing to pay. He's certainly got the resources. 22 citizens right now is a pretty good number to be at as well. He doesn't need to trade right this second. But bear in mind, these Toxotes are rather souped up. They're not fully, as they only have the Ares upgrade. But that's still a lot more DPS than the Arcus have, at the cost of range, of course. And the Arcus are more expensive. So maybe a few Peltas are in order. DC's now halfway up. Can the Fire Siphon make it through? This would need some kind of buildings here to stop this from happening again and again. Villagers doing some pretty good work, but Shockwave's gonna be used to deny it, and once again the TC gets pretty much fully reset. Not just pretty much, it is fully reset. So that's pretty good. Gastrophiles now on the counter-offensive. This is exactly what needs to happen, as well as Helipolis. Looking good for Viz. Oh, he's got a lot of idle villagers. This CC is still rallying to the front one. Viz never really adjusted it, and one thing he could do, I suppose, right now is to get a bunch of fishing ships out to fix his food economy. They gather pretty fast. And on a map like Mirage, the drop-off distance is fairly small, making it an economically efficient business to conduct. The Arcus are a little bit high in number for Shelty, I must say. That's a mistake. He needed Fire Siphons and whatnot. He's got 27 citizens, so his army is now definitely way too small, and it will be easy for Viz to hold, especially with the help of Peltasts, and Gastrophiles will keep enemy buildings at bay as well. Now, the Heca Giant was able to pick off the Gastra, but yeah, Viz is more than comfortable in terms of holding this. Just needs a little food now. Eat the cow. What kind of relics do we have? We got the Tail of Cerberus for Mythiot special attack recharge improvements. The Eye of Horus for Tau Center population. Well, that's both pretty meaningful here. Imagine using those lions with faster special attacks. Yep. They'll be stunning the entire army while your guys get to work. And these archers are dropping fast. So many Peltas are ready to go as well. I would argue their numbers are too high now. Gotta be careful with that. But yeah, these Hades Peltas, just absolute bonkers. And they don't even have all the upgrades, like I said. They were... If they had Sunray from Apollo and Shafts of Plague from Artemis, they'd be well over 8 attack. Actually, they'd be almost as powerful as an Arcus. That's the crazy. Hades Peltas, man. They're no joke. They have more health, more pierce armor. Just gotta go for that God Path. And they're super cheap. The Helipolis probably won't be having too good of a time against the Heca Giant. Gets slapped pretty hard, both by the crush damage and the hack damage that these guys do. It's pretty wild. It's actually doubled here compared to normal, but that's not a real buff. In the normal version, they do a double animation, so it's in fact the same damage output. Now they do a single animation, and we just actually show the real DPS that they've always done. Citizens get up a palace. That's actually a pretty big move. Viz, however, has fixed his economy, and he can shift to a market down south. Shelty continues to not be able to push. He's got vortexes, and he's gonna use them, but he's jumping right on top of the army. Using the Peltas is a play that I think Viz would be rather comfortable with right now. Just trade him into the Arcus. If he loses them all, great. Then he can make new units that will actually beat the Fire Siphon. Shades would even spawn. Totally worth it. I don't think the TC would be destroyed though. That's looking mighty fine right now. All these towers are absolutely wrecking units that are trying to get in there. Again, the fortress and the towers both beefed up by Hades. Providing plenty of cover there. And from here, Viz can basically just focus on maintaining a good army. Percy's absolutely shutting down those giants as well. Oh god, Peltas versus Fire Siphon, everyone's favorite. That's not gonna go so good. Nice attack once again by Shelty, finding a good piece of damage here. Highly doubting that this fortress will come up. But it's made some good progress. It would be crazy if it actually worked. Maybe if the villagers were on passive stance and they ignored the damage, then that would work out. Viz certainly will need some defenses. Well, some siege to knock down these buildings, right? But some defenses for the army is also important. Additional villagers are getting sent out, but once again met by Murmillo. Very troublesome. Relic still being left alone. And Shelty's starting to run a little low on gold. He's got this 1 gold mine left, but whoever knows how many resources in there. Under 2k. Can move on to this. He can sort of move on to this, although this is risky. And then he's out. He needs a trade. Sooner rather than later. He can't afford the food right now. He's still got 27 citizens, and I'm not quite sure where they're going or what they're doing. Okay, there's another gold mine here. That's what's happening. Now that Viz has built up buildings here too, honestly, you can just wall off, make another fortress, wall off here, start a wall and tower push, and go down the middle, or just push the issue here. A good job with the siege by Reims actually here by Shelty. The guest graffiti's will take them down hard, not to mention the Pentacloner. It's a bit of a floody game. So many corpses. Kill to death ratio currently at 418 to 403, so definitely one of those wilder games, and this could be going on for a lot longer until Shelty runs out of gold really. But if he can take the trade off of Viz and destroy these buildings, he's actually got a pretty good prospect for himself. The melee units should be able to destroy the rest of the fortress even though the siphon goes down. Not much is left here. And the Archers should be able to hold their ground too, supported by the birds. It's all looking pretty good. Good takedown of this Helipolis as well. We definitely finish off these walls. Like I said, they have some really high health. 380 versus just 1730 for Hades. Those Atlantean walls are very valuable. Disciplicon are toast. Got a second tree somewhere. Oh no. Not here, Shelty. This is extremely risky. If Viz can set himself up to take this over, oh my goodness. Greek with 5 dryads? That's not It's not the place you want to be in. Definitely not. Shelty also has some water units, which unfortunately will be blocking his population. This was not a great vortex. There's no siege here whatsoever. It's only Arcus. So he'll very slowly deal with the units here. And Viz can do whatever he wants in the bottom side. All he's got to do is just send down a few villagers and rebuild. While Shelty is tied up here. We've got a Colossus switch, which is also a great move. He'll take a million shots to kill with these archers. Thankfully, Shelty has some melee units to take it down. Game's definitely slowing down a lot. We might fast forward a bit here. Oh my god. A transport ship? I missed it completely. Okay. Okay, this is the play, Viz. This is the play. Could knock out Shelty with this. Oh my goodness, he just queued up 3 Colossus in the temple and he has no idea. Shelty has no idea about this. We gotta turn on Fog of War. Look at that. He can see it. Oh my god, but will he notice? Will he notice? I think he probably will not. That is brutal. Oh boy. So all that Viz needs to do from here is kind of allow this to happen. There's hardly any siege coming out of Shelty. And as he loses units, such as these caravans, he'll get the Colossus out. Not the best unit to lose, the caravan, but it's something. We still got auto queue on Peltas, it seems. Not the most fortunate moment for Viz. Okay, it's recognized, but guess what? The wall is gonna get crossed off by Viz. So Shelty would have to go around it now. Which he might do. Fire Siphon finally popping out. We've got mirror towers on the front. They're a little bit buffed in the M. And remember, you can always keep clicking them on a target to shoot faster. As they're kind of weird with their animation like that. I think the Peltas is still... Oh god, that's a lot of auto queue from Viz. If he stopped that, he would be able to make units, but now he's stuck on mass Peltas. And it might actually be Shelty who's destroying this TC. And pushes on. He started his own caravans now. But has definitely overdone the villagers. I love these little cross walls. They're so annoying to deal with though. Because this town center goes down. And the mirror towers just keep demolishing everything. Yeah, I love these mirror towers there. So tanky. So tanky. Some pretty good line of sight as well. Some strong shots. If there's nothing that's gonna happen back here, we've got a problem. Very important for Viz to stop auto-queuing all this stuff. It's hurting him a lot right now. I think his trade also got gutted. The Fire Siphon got the market. And we got the Fire Siphons on the task here. Oh my. Is Viz going to just be killed off here? Finally got the Colossus on the front line. This might be able to destroy the palace and push everything back here eventually, but Fanatics pop out and they'll be doing a massive amount of damage to the Colossus. Especially if they can be turned into heroes, that's huge. House destruction has been great. You've got Gastrophides, however. Still not a single Colossus has spawned, as this auto queue situation has been on the whole time. This stopped making some of the units, however. Looks like the settlement will once again be denied by the Fire Siphon raids. it's still the home units that are getting made a lot. Maybe the Gastrophiles can start dealing with the mirror towers. They outrange them, by the way. So if they weren't so close, they would be able to clean this up. Shelty's expiring his last of gold mines. Gonna have to move on to this one now. The rest is all caravans. It's possible that he'll run out at a critical time and that Viz can come back. But right now our man is down a lot. Trying to make Colossus in 2 locations at the same time. He's out of favor. Temple has been destroyed. And unless something really starts up here, there's 1 Colossus in the temple right now. The villagers are still fine to come back and to, you know, start farming or hunting or whatever. And trade the resources for gold while the caravan economy really starts up. Okay, what does this have back here? 2 Colossus now. It's better than 1. Maybe it can go up to like 3 or 4 and then push out and take down that back TC. That could be the big moment that Viz has been waiting for. But that still wouldn't shut down the trade of Shelties. And even then they're only an equal population, so we'll see what will actually happen. Fire Siphons and the towers for now got this under control. There's no way that Viz can push forward and, you know, take this TC back anytime soon. Although the Gastrophiles are thinning out the tower slowly. Spawning a lot more Hades shades as well. This has a sustainable enough economy. The first Colossus will probably spawn soon enough. Okay, the last of the gold mines now. Unless Viz is... Sorry, unless Shelty is going to go for this. Instead of 6k here. Would be pretty wild if he did. But you can't rule anything out at this point. I would love to see a Sky Passage just to quickly destroy this TC with a Fire Siphon switch. Although easier said than done against those Aphrodite villagers. They get on top of your siphons quick. Needs backup from more towers and potentially Arcus. That would keep things at bay. Anyhow, still just 2 Colossus in the back. Viz is trying to hold on in both locations at the same time, but 10 population stuck in the temple is pretty meaningful too. I like the towering of the gold mine a lot and it has worked out. Now Chiron can take down the birds. My goodness, there's a lot of birds. Of course the tower absolutely wrecks them. It's not even close. And now Chiron's on the task. Doesn't have much DPS, but sure has a good bonus against Myth units. And a good amount of speed as well. Same with the Gastrophiles, they do have Beast Slayer for 50% extra damage. Hits those Myth units pretty good. We've got 3 Colossus on the counter offensive. Could this be it? Is this the moment that Shelty has been dreading and Viz has been waiting for? The man's out of resources, he doesn't have anything nearby. He's in fact pulling off of farms, which is gonna reduce his income even further. His front is getting pushed. Shelty doesn't have population all of a sudden. What just happened? He's getting into the trade route, but losing the TC and thus his own trade route at the same time. While 4 villagers are idled by this. That's huge by Viz. He's got a really solid economy behind this with, what, 20 caravans? That is more than what Shelty has. This is pretty good stuff. The TC is destroyed. The front push is destroyed. The mirror towers are gone. And this is the moment for Viz to capitalize on and pull as many of these villagers as possible to quickly rebuild the TC while he's going after the main. Is he gonna actually destroy manors or something? Possible. Shelty now attempted to rebuild this by using 5 citizens. It's like using 15 as Greek. In terms of population at least. The manors are gonna be destroyed. Not necessary to go after the TC itself, as these heroes would clean up, no problem, but the manors are vulnerable enough. So that is exactly what Viz will go after. And I think that's probably all he will get. The buff shockwave with the super long stun here on display. Hero's getting a lot of damage, but still the manor gets destroyed, shutting it down to 120 pop. And this is coming up, I'm sure. Although these raids have been annoying for Viz to deal with, his market's still up, and it looks like it's going to stay up. Palace getting taken over, and the next in line is the Hesperides tree. This certainly has gold to keep using that. Colossus won't be able to destroy the town center once again, going for the manor instead. But there's more Colossi coming. Middle Goldmine is getting bullied. Shelty is down to 148 population and no gold income now essentially, except a little bit of trade. But for how much longer is that going to be in effect as his caravans are going down? They're going for a fresh trip right this second. And as this mirror tower falls, the Hesperides tree will belong to Viz, and that will buff up his army a lot. Now the Colossus is done. It's got 2 in the back. Kill to death ratio now up to almost 800 for Shelty. I'm sure he'll reach it in this game. As for Viz, 600. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Considering that he's the one with the resources, I say he's done just fine. First, he's a little bit stuck, but we can always just wall up here, get a trade going, and then little issues like that aren't going to be a critical issue. The Gastrophides blob just too problematic to destroy. Maybe a bunch of Terma would help, maybe a bunch of Quintarius would help. Shelty somehow managed to max out, but now he's gonna have to deal with Colossus again. This gold mine is not gonna last super long either. Certainly a problem that Viz has got all this trade again. And I don't think actually he will go for the long route just yet. But now there's once again 3 Colossus in the back. That seems like a manor destroyed. Shelty's down to 140 pop. Villagers getting pulled onto the TC. It's a tense game. It's a tense game. Obviously, Shelty doesn't want to get knocked out. But Viz is super eager to prove his worth and make it into the top 4. Which would be the first for him in the DM tournaments. So I'm sure he's excited for it. Shelty's been in finals several times already. Good use of the shades going after the villagers. They're really annoying to deal with. We've got also had a Polis now. That will tank the fire of Arcus, should it come to that. The Colossus are just being annoying. They're forcing the repairs and tying down the villager population, but can't actually destroy the TC, I think, with the heroes here. Maybe they can. Maybe just barely they could. Also, Active Viz is forcing the pullback on the Dryads. As the TC is under attack. Okay, the Colossus is getting super low. Not sure this one Colossus can actually destroy the TC. The repair is a lot. It also costs a lot, as it turns out. Shelty has stopped the repair completely. He's not noticing, and the TC goes down with the last hit off the Colossus. Actually could have gotten one more hit in there at least. And this could be a huge issue as Shelty is completely broke. He can't afford the TC. He has to send everyone back, hope that his kill to death will be good enough. If he doesn't lose too many units, that is. But guess what? The Toxotes Ball and the Gastrophides are hard at work to make sure that that doesn't happen. All these Arcus dropping left and right. The birds being made, the dryads being made. This is a heavy resource drain right there. And Shelty is going to give up as he just didn't have the means to repopulate with so many caravans around. Also, Viz takes a series 3-2. That was super close. Congratulations to Viz for moving on into the winner's semifinals of the DM Revival Cup #1. Next up, he'll be facing off against Ryuk. Looking really forward to how that game will go. Not sure if I'll be covering it myself. Might be Iron Maiden, so make sure to subscribe to my channel as well as his one, as that's probably where it will be. And then I'm waiting in the losers finals myself, so look out for that too. Peace.